I like to always start off asking my guests, what is your definition of beauty?
To me, beauty really starts within. I am one of those people that I think, especially nowadays, when you can go and change your face, right? And there's so much plastic surgery, and you, if you don't feel that beautiful on the outside, you can certainly make changes, right? But I believe true beauty lies inside. It all starts within. If you're not a good person, I don't think I'm going to find you beautiful. So
Right.
to me, I do care about my outside appearance, but I care much more about my soul. And I feel that when you do take your time to invest and take care of your soul, that's going to reflect on your outside beauty.
How do you think that you feed your soul in order for that beauty to come out? Because I've listened to your past interviews and read about you, and you're a very soulful person, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that beauty would stem from the soul.
For me, it's one of those things that I feel that you have to take your time to get to know yourself. You have to learn yourself, and everyone experiences those low moments in life, but it's those low moments that, in my opinion, builds character. So I feel that the same way we invest in maybe working out, you have to invest in working out your soul. And there's, in my opinion, certain exercises you can do. You could read great books, you could meditate, you could listen to a great sermon, whatever it is. Everyone is different, but definitely take the time to invest in your soul, in your spiritual life. I feel that so many times we constantly focus on taking care of the outside,
Right.
that we don't invest as much time into the inside. And if you're unhappy, it's going to reflect. It's going to reflect. And I feel that true happiness really starts when you have peace, when you feel content and you feel peace. If you don't feel peace, you're always going to be searching for something, and you're always going to feel empty. So I think that's one of the ways that you find that inner beauty. It's taking the time to really work on yourself and learn yourself. Everyone is on the same boat. We are all here on earth trying to unlearn and relearn without even knowing that that's how it works, right? And the important thing is to never give up, and to striving constantly to become a better version of ourselves.
So talking about learning about yourself, and beauty and inner beauty and peace comes from that. During this pandemic, did you learn something about yourself that surprised you?
I learned many things about myself. I feel like I never stopped learning. You never do. You never stop learning. I think one of the things that I took the time during this pandemic is I've tried not to be as hard on myself. I think I'm always like my worst critic. And I learned how to breathe again. It's like sometimes we place so much pressure on ourselves, and we forget that you also need to rest. So I feel like, if anything, what I learned was more to rest. I'm always on a plane. I'm always like going from place to place. I'm always working. I'm always nonstop. Even when I'm on a vacation, I'm not really always on vacation. It might seem like it, but I'm always constantly working. I'm on my computer all the time, writing. I mean, it's like books don't write themselves, right? And I'm always constantly working. And sometimes, even if I'm not, I'm constantly thinking. So I just rested. I rested, and it felt good. Felt good.
So it's like a true vacation. I mean, it's hard to say that this is a vacation, but then, the world stopped. And so that gave you an opportunity to truly stop. Because like you said, even if you're on vacation, your phone doesn't stop ringing. You know, you
Yeah,
could,
I did still write. I started a script. I read books. But to me, those things are fun.
that's really work. You set out an intention when 2020 started? Like, did you have goals or, resolution?
I had tons of goals, which I still accomplished. Some of them. I I I released a book during this pandemic. Um, it was supposed to be released 6 months prior to the release date that then got pushed to. But I mean, the book still came out. It's doing well in sales. I launched a candle line. I am working on other projects.
I'm busy then.
Writing my next project. I didn't allow for the pandemic to stop the goals that I had set. I worked extremely hard at this last book, 18 inches, and for me, I wasn't going to let this stop me from releasing it. So I just kept going. And you have to have trust in, you have to trust the process. You have to trust that there are good things ahead, and that this was all meant to happen. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I think that collectively as a world, we needed to open up our eyes. I think technology has taken over to the point that people were not paying attention to many of the things that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was a reset.
So
This was a reset.
you have written a collection of books, but you have these beautiful poems. And what is your inspiration for your writings? Like, does it just happen one day, or you just intentionally sit down and start writing, or does something just hit you and you have to start writing? What's your inspiration?
Well, for me, love is always my inspiration. I believe that everything in the world revolves around love. Sometimes it's the quest of love, the pursuit. Sometimes in certain books it's been the realization, acceptance. But it always revolves around love and finding that strength and the love within me, because I believe that all the love we need had already been placed inside of us. It's the world that tried to lie to us and tell us that we weren't enough. And that's why I believe that it's all about unlearning and relearning. So that's what my work is always about. And I share the experiences that have taught me these things, right?
Right.
I wasn't born knowing this.
Like it's like this self-evolution and like knowing, right? And I guess first, in order to love someone else, is you have to love yourself.
You have to.
Right?
It's all about self-love first.
Not automatic, because some people could hate themselves, but I love how you keep on saying, like, you have to unlearn and relearn. It's like it's a constant evolution, and part of it is, I think, acceptance and loving yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So in these trying times, like, what do you think people have to unlearn and relearn?
Well, for everyone is different, obviously, because it just depends how you've been raised, your background. Everybody has different experiences, but overall, I think that we all experience pain and we experience love. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to unlearn the conditioning that we've been given depending on our background, right? And if it's any conditioning that is tied to the opposite of love, which is hate, which is darkness, anger, pain, then those are the things we need to unlearn. Mm-hmm. Because the goal, in my opinion, is to get back to love. I realize that I love people. I I love to see people happy. I love to see people find self-love. I love to see people prosper. So for me, that's my true gift. Everything else that I do on the outside, yeah, it's talent, it's a gift. I'm thankful for it. But its purpose is to fulfill my true purpose, which is to help people.
You know, it's really cool when I talk to women and my contemporaries and I say, you know, what's your definition of beauty? And, you know, more often than not, it always stems from the inside.
Yeah.
Now it's like the confidence and strength, you know, whatever they're tapping inside, happiness, you know, if they have a passion about themselves, then it's like, you know, what do you think propelled that movement, that shift from focusing on the exterior to focusing on the interior?
I feel it was the feeling of emptiness. I feel that I felt empty. I felt empty, and I knew that I could do something about it. Mm-hmm. And you know, I've experienced many beautiful things in my life. I've been very lucky to have seen things, have just beautiful experiences. Like some people might consider me lucky, right? And some people might, and what I always saw is that people would judge me from the outside, like, well, she seems like she has it all, in the sense of, oh, she's pretty, she travels, she has such a fun life, and let me tell you, I understood that I was blessed in a lot of things, but why did I feel empty? Mm-hmm. And for me, when I began that search for filling myself and not placing my desire for love from other people as important, I think especially when you're a young woman in a major city and you come across different individuals, you start sometimes even comparing yourself mm-hmm. to these other people, and you start, I say that sometimes when you know less, you could be more happy. When you see less, right, you could be more happy. And for me, I had seen so much already in my 20s that I was constantly chasing this feeling, chasing something to fill me, and I would compare myself to other people. And then I got it. When I started working on myself, I started realizing how we're not always taught to accept ourselves and love ourselves. You could have been raised in a loving family, but sometimes these things aren't taught because maybe our parents didn't know either. Maybe they weren't taught either. And it was one of those situations that I just started taking the time to find what fills my soul, what connects. Like I did so much growth that I would just smile sometimes. Like I just smile because I felt that I was content all alone, that I didn't need the approval and the validation of other people anymore. And
when was that? What do you think, what age or what was the tipping point when you realized you didn't need that anymore? Or did you ever need it?
I feel I definitely needed it. Even in relationships, I was constantly seeking validation from my partners, and obviously sometimes I would get it and sometimes I wouldn't, and that would disrupt my self-esteem. I saw a lot of my self-esteem going up and down because of different relationships. So for me, it was more about empowering myself, becoming strong on my own. And I mean, I started really seeing that growth, I'd say around like 29. That's why to me, the age of 30 is a magical age for a woman. But I feel that some women, they can reach that point way before. and if you reach it way after 30, that's great too.
Right, but at least they reached it, right?
Exactly. I feel that as long as you're trying and you're working on yourself, and everybody experiences a different journey and a different time, and just because certain things happen to certain people earlier or later in life doesn't mean that you're anything less, right? It's just, there's different timing for everyone.
Right, I think it's like when everyone's a different book, right, with a different cover, but when they open it, like, you don't know what that book is going to be, because people just judge based upon looks, right? Like you said, people look at you from the outside and just think, oh, she's lucky, she gets to travel, she's like this, she's like that. But little do they know that you're working on the inside too. Like, you're constantly, working on yourself. And it's nice to hear that, like, okay, well, I haven't fully evolved, but I'm trying to continue to evolve, because you're like, it's always continuing to work.
It's a never-ending process.
Right.
To hear the full conversation, click the link below and follow us on Instagram @NayaBeautyApp. Thanks for watching.